Hey Internet, going live on my phone. This is a new thing. And I didn't come yesterday and I apologize. I had a really cool day in that my parents are here in town and they brought some good family friends with them. And my parents don't get here often and this is the first time these family friends who are friends with my whole family, including my kids, were here. So spent some time with them yesterday and went to a Drum Corps International event last night, which is kind of my father's version of sports. So he got to go to that, and it's my father I want to talk about a little bit here, as especially as this video is going to be a little brief, and that's because I'm going to go spend time with him and them again today, and we just kind of wrapping up the morning at church still at this point. But uh, my father is a good man. Everyone says that about their dad, mostly. Not everyone. Most of us do. So I could say all those kinds of things. But he has been a man of faith his entire life too. And in the last year, really, his health has gotten weaker. We've done a lot of stuff with hospital and doctors and blood work, and nothing seems to be wrong that they can find. But he's lost a lot of weight, and he just gets weaker and weaker to the level that at this weekend he now is using a walker for the first time in his life, and that's new for me to see my father at that point. But then also it's come on so fast. So, in my conscience, I'm always preparing for the worst. Just in general, it's just my my plight, I suppose. Uh, so I see the writing on the wall. I know what this means initially or eventually. My theology is clear on the matter, and so that's not a surprise. But it's caused me to wonder too. How will I handle it when it's me? I've sat by the bedside of people younger than me with their dead father right there, people older than me, people with their kids lying there. I've been through this a lot of different places. My grandmother has died in my adult life. My other grandparents were dead before that. So, how will this impact me? And how will I handle it as a person, right? I mean, I know the theology. The theology's there, but how do you handle the grief? What does the grief do to you? That kind of thing. And I don't know. I mean, I've been worried about it. I still am, I guess, but today was special in that regard. So they're all at church. It's my church today. In that I'm preaching. There's a lot going on, and some of this already if you've watched other videos. And today was even more so. It was a pretty intense day. One big kind of thing going on. And if you want to know more about it, you can go and listen to the sermon, which I don't know if I'll release it first or second on my other feed and on the podcast because I always do two, right? And it's the second one that really would tell you. But all that said, it was powerful. It was good. It's a good morning, and we had the Lord's Supper, and we had enough people there. Even though we had a bunch of people on vacation, we had enough people here on vacation that we sang four hymns during distribution, and then we needed to sing two more. I love it when this happens. So I'm picking hymns out of the hymnal as we go, as we distribute, and usually I'll pick the nicest, happiest ones at that point. So we sang "What Is This Bread," and then we sang No, not Seek Ye First. I did pick that earlier for the supper earlier the day. We sang um, oh come on now, oh Children of the Heavenly Father, and for me, particularly at that point too, remembering the fatherhood of God and how my task is to be the father to this congregation, and then something I do every week is I will come down during the closing hymn. I'll come out of the sacristy, narthex, wrong words. I will come out of the, oh my goodness, Jonathan. Yeah, the brain stops at certain points in the day. The holy place that's up front with the railings. Yeah, that's what they call it, right? And I can't see your comments, so I know you're saying it right there. I come down from that spot that you are yelling at me about what it is. And I do know what it's called, but it's lost right now. I always come down from there during the closing hymn, and I find out where my family is. I got kids, I got a wife, and whoever is on an aisle in that row that they're sitting in, I just come up right next to them, and I sing as much of the final hymn with that child or wife, usually child, as I can. And then I'll go back. The last verse, I'll go back up front to finish up the end of the service as we depart. But so today when I did that, and the way things lined up, it was my son who was on the end of the pew, and they're in the front row. So I came down, maybe the second row. It doesn't matter. My son's on the end of the pew, and I come down and I stand beside my son, And we're thinking, I think the song was, "O Christ who sent the 12." It's a good song. But anyway, so he's there. I put my hand on his shoulder and I start to sing. And I realized I already knew this because my folks had got in a little bit late, so they weren't able to sit in the same pew as everyone else. They were a pew behind. So my dad is right behind my son, and then my mom's right next to him. And I lost it. I completely lost it. I started to choke up, couldn't sing, stayed with my son, praying to God for my son and my father and the three of us, the generation that is there. And then normally I would take the last verse, I'd go back up. So the verse before that, there's 5 verses. So in verse 4, I step back and my dad's sitting because he can't do it like he did even a couple months ago. And so he's sitting there and I put my hand on his shoulder. And I think he's singing, but I know he grabs my hand on his shoulder and lost it and then lost it more. Like with my son, I was just choked up and couldn't sing. I wept. I've not done that in a long time. I wept. I wept for my father's life. I wept in joy for my father's faith. And I wept in thanksgiving for the life he's given to me. And I prayed again for my own son and my own children. Apparently he was weeping too, I was told later. I had to go squeeze his shoulder. He squeezed my hand. We're not like huggy guys. We don't hug each other much. I mean, we do when we see each other, but it's not like that. But generational faith. What a gift. Lord, have mercy on us and our families that we pass these gifts forward. Because you can't know. I can't know with my son. I'm going to do all I can. I can't know. But thanks be to God when it happens. And thanks be to God when it's happened to your folks, your parents too, right? When you come from Christians. So that as you face these turns that just can't be explained and you know the shadow of death looms large, you also know the answer. And yes, it's going to hurt. You're going to have to figure out how to grieve and you're going to cry. Because that's what Jesus did, right? But you also know the tears are going to get wiped away soon enough. So thanks for listening. And now I'm on YouTube live with a phone and I don't know how to stop. So I'm going to say rock on. See you tomorrow. And then I'm going to stare over here and maybe this X does it. Do I want to end it? Do I want to end it? Yeah.